when you really start to think about the energy of a emotional contraction, so something comes into the room that makes you uncomfortable. You're sitting there enjoying yourself, having a peaceful day. Something happens, something crosses your path that makes you go, you see that? Even if it's not that dramatic, even if it's not that literal and visible, your body, your nervous system, your muscles, your fine, tiny little muscles, everything is going. Or even just in the diaphragm. We go around and we hold that breath, gasp, hold, tension. You might be squeezing your butthole right now and you don't even notice it. But seriously, if you're at work, if you're on a difficult phone call, if you're anticipating, something from somebody that makes you uncomfortable or gets you a little anxious, or in these mental loops of what happens when they say this, what do I do when this happens, and just always running these scenarios in your mind. All of those things over time. A huge one for me is my shoulders, because for so long I was go, grind, academia, strive, prove yourself. And that, well, there's a lot to it, but as I have gotten older, I have begun to store that tension as a literal weight of the world on my shoulders. And so this constant overperforming, over analyzing, over compensating creates this tension that you can feel a lot of times. Or maybe it shows up somewhere else along your back, or down your arms, or in your chest, or somewhere else in your body. But the thing is, over time, when you're doing that dozens, hundreds, literally hundreds of times a day, it adds up and it gets stored and stuck, and harder to allow your body to just naturally release it. Whenever we think about that in the physical, imagine that there's this grid, just a normal grid right in front of you, okay, and it's straight lines, and then there's kind of another grid on top of that, exact same one. They look the same, but they can move separately. So imagine that pure straight grid is you, your soul, and then whenever you start to pull yourself out of alignment subtly, in subtle ways, or maybe dramatic ways, even in subtle ways, like the tiniest little things, just pulling yourself a little bit out of alignment, a little bit this way, holding your breath a little bit over and over again. Okay, so when you think about yourself as this grid, and your mind, body, spirit are all overlaying, interconnected, we can interact with them almost as though they are separate, but they're not. Okay, so when we think about them as overlaying and interconnected grids, you can see where when one starts to pull, if it gets pulled in that way, and it just pulls over and over again, it's pulling energy. Your energy is flowing through this grid. It's pulling energy to that point. Maybe there's another one down here, something else going on in your life, something with your job, something with your job nagging at you. Okay, pulling at you, pulling, tension, pull. Okay, and then something in your home life, something, in a relationship, whatever, pulling, and there's this ache in your hip or your knee or your lower back or whatever it is, and it's just like, oh, I can't, like, why does it hurt? There's no reason it should hurt. I'm doing everything. I'm trying all this. Okay. You get the point. So maybe all of that energy is being pulled up here in your back and your shoulder and your neck. And since all that energy is being kept right here, not allowed to move because you're holding it, you're tensing it, maybe it's, rerouting your flow of energy so that there's no energy down here getting to where it needs to be. Or maybe there's, stagnation or tension or something else down here. And so energy just isn't flowing here, but there's an excess of energy up here. And so how do we balance that out? How do we balance that back out?